to the Construction Big Breakfast, where we give you a hearty serving of insider tips and business strategies to help fuel your day so you can thrive in the construction industry. Now,
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Brendan Morahan, and welcome once again to the Construction Big Breakfast. Today, we'll be diving into the whole concept of how we get value out of construction, but very much from the angle of investment and acquisition. So today, I'm delighted that joining us on this podcast is Gauri Lamb. Gauri's got her own business called Assetree, and she's going to bring a very unique perspective to today's podcast. So welcome, Gauri. And I wonder if I could ask you to maybe expand upon that introduction, just to introduce yourself and your background and what your aspirations are, please.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you for having me here. And good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good breakfast as well. I have my coffee mug here. So my background, I'm an engineer. I'm from India originally, and I came to UK about 16 years ago, did my master's here, and then have been in a corporate job until about 4 years ago, ended up taking up on an M&A journey, bringing the corporate experience that I have built in the construction industry into the SME world, which started our journey of getting involved in the SME construction companies. And that has taught us quite a lot. Today, Assetree, we can proudly say, is a boutique PE firm based in London, and we have got businesses all around UK. Our values are, and the DNA has been very much around strong ethics, and we know the SME world contributes to about 99% of our economy. There are around 16 million people who are employed in this world, and what our aim is to bring access to the funds which are sloshing around at a higher level, value for buy and build into the construction world, into the other businesses we own as well, but particularly in construction and building services industry, where we are very active. And also bring the businesses into the next generation of the next step of the business, which is digitalization, the ESG element of it. What are we giving back to the planet? How are we working on bringing this business into the future? And so, yeah.
Clearly, there's plenty to go at, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. But as always, before we get into the detail, equally importantly, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Ooh, that's very interesting. I normally have, and this is a routine, so I make my own smoothie in the morning. So okay. So it's banana, oats, and dates, and blueberries, and so on. So yeah, and then endless coffees. So I'm on my third coffee right now. Okay. But that's normally, normally the routine.
A healthy start to the day. Yeah, I'm in our office today. I was fortunate to get in very early, so I had a lovely cup of tea and a croissant in Russell Square this morning, in the park in Russell Square. So it was a very pleasant start to the day, but not like the breakfast we used to have of old. But
well, that still could happen when I'm on sites and stuff. But this is more for work from home, not moving from your desk too much. So need to keep
the carbs down.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on site, you're on your feet all the time, you're running around, you're on the phone, walking here and there, so it kind of, you burn it off.
Yes, exactly. So let's get back then. As you said, you spent your career in corporate life, and I think you said 4 years ago you set up your own investment business. One of the things that struck me when I first met you, and you repeated it there, is about the whole values-based nature of your business, the pursuit of ethics and the like. And therefore, I just wonder whether you could explain to listeners how that is framed. You know, what are the ambitions for your business? What is the vision? Do you have an explicit purpose? So that we get a feel for what is the strategic criteria around which you identify your target acquisitions and then pursue them thereafter.
That's a very good question, Brendan, because that is really at the core of what we do. The main purpose of where we are at and what is driving Assetree at this point in time is to allow to allow for two types of acquisitions predominantly, if I have to class them at all in any form of tree. One would be for there is a generation of business owners who have started businesses 40, 50 years ago who are looking for an exit. And they have got this amazing team around them, the trusted employees and partners in the business, and they want to know that the future is secure for their team and that there's a legacy which is passed on in a safe pair of hands, and the team is looked after. There is not a mass exodus or because these change management is such a tricky, challenging topic, and how. So for us, that is one of the ways of acquisition where Assetree, through their values, through the support we give to these exiting business owners, we allow that change to happen, help and support them through the succession planning. Our intention is always to have the person running the business to be within the business, if we can help it, rather than having a parachuted entity coming. And we work with the business owners in that transition. The second strategy is for, I think we touched on it, the buy and build element of it as well, where there is a business owner who has reached a glass ceiling and who is looking for growth and is not able to, or not, they are definitely able to achieve that growth, but you hit a ceiling in the sense that do I employ more people to go for the bigger jobs, or do I get the bigger jobs and then get the people? Is my balance sheet big enough to be aiming for these big jobs? Do I have the capability? Because most of the business owners have started from a product which was amazing, and they deliver that product and they gain the trust of the client. And then you pick on all the business elements which kind of feed into it. Then you're looking after HR, suddenly you're looking after the finance and the cash flow. And some of these business owners find it very overwhelming that I just want to sell and I want to deliver this amazing project. I've picked this up, but I can't go any longer. And it kind of is like a self-fulfilling prophecy of creating this monster, or not monster, a nice, cute monster, because it's a business. And so they are looking for a support system to help them take that next leap of faith. And most of the business owners we speak to have worked towards the profitability and know what the next step is, but need that extra level of comfort that we will take the bits and then they can grow. We support them and they can grow. And then along the way, if there are any other acquisition targets, we can support them there as well, because you will pretty much have an in-house M&A team and kind of grow on that strategy. And that allows you for that growth as well.
Interesting, but everything you said there is to the benefit of the current ownership. For these to be successful, it's also got to work for you. Yes. So what is it that you're looking for in return for the support you're providing to them?
Well, for us, normally the acquisition works at you buy equity into the business. That's number one. And for us, the bigger picture is also on the future exit of the businesses. When you've bought and built and you have a bigger group, and then you're planning for a future exit at a certain point in time where you have a bigger entity to command a better valuation for the business, or also you can kind of leverage on an ecosystem of businesses as well at a lower point. If I'm looking at it in the 1 year, 2 year time frame, for us the benefit is the business is working together with each other because they're in the same ecosystem and sharing experiences, learnings. So that is quite key for us as well.
Yeah, sure. And what about the opportunity to sell myriad services to the same customers?
Yeah, that definitely is an option, Brendan. But in construction, we also have to be, it has to be very transparent and open to the customer as well, that sister companies working together and there could be a conflict of interest. So we have to be very aware and tread carefully where the client is, the decision maker is very aware of what they're buying into. But yes, there is an all-encompassing turnkey solution option to be bought in there as well. And that would be at the benefit for the client, where they are like, here you go, the keys are here, just do the project. And you don't have to worry, and the teams can work with each other, and there is that special benefit of that as well. Yeah.
And do you see the construction and property sector as being opportune for that type of model? I say that in the context of, there has been a lot of discussion about whether the tier one model really works in construction, because they are taking on so much risk, whether or not it can be mitigated sufficiently. With your buy and build type strategy, is there not a risk that you're moving towards that model? You're taking on so much risk that you're unable to properly price for and therefore manage thereafter?
It's again a very good question. Tier one, it's how do I put it very politically correct? Because there is a, everyone is vilified for what you do, whether right or wrong. Everyone has an opinion in today's world.
Yes.
And tier one, bless them, they're trying to do whatever they can for keeping the economy going. And yes, there are issues with payments, bigger projects, taking on projects, subcontracting everything, and delivery is challenged. Whereas the teams which are within the Assetree are not aiming for that. They are the best in class at what they deliver, and they take responsibility for their part of the job. And from that perspective, it's not cutting corners, it's giving the best for the client's perspective. It's giving them the best value for money, because you're getting the specialists in every team. So it's not like a packaged up job. So if the teams do decide to work together, let's say within Assetree, two of the companies decide to work together on a project, it's still tendered, it's still within themselves. It will be still looked at from the capacity perspective, whether or not the other company is able to deliver to the level or not. And it's not a given. So if company A and B want to work together and A is the employer, B still has to tender for the job and prove the capability before they get the job. And that's how you would make sure the client is comfortable as well. So whilst the tier one will say, here is the package, go and deliver and work together, we wouldn't do that. We don't even get involved in, Assetree doesn't get involved in pitching for the jobs, if that makes sense. It's individual companies who are working on a daily basis with their own clientele.
But do you see a point in time in the future where clients are coming to you for, as you referred to earlier, that turnkey type solution, where within Assetree you have all the necessary resources and skill sets to provide a complete package? Is that something that is aspirational, indeed desirable?
I don't think it would be aspirational or desirable, because we want to make sure we, again, for the same thing, the teams are delivering the best they can in the fields they are good at. If there is a turnkey option, then it will very naturally move towards the contracting side of the business, where then they can manage the other businesses if there is a requirement. And if the client is really keen and happy to work with all the businesses within Assetree, then we could consider that, but that is not an aspiration. That's not what the teams are aiming for.
No, I understand. Okay. Well, one of the things that I'm quite interested in is about how you get the business synergies. As you grow, there is the potential for business synergies, but there's obviously the potential to erode some value within those businesses in seeking that synergy. How do you go about that?
It's a very interesting thing, because we are going through, the first thing, the first thing I mentioned is the teams are looked after, and the teams the trust that the teams feel safe, their jobs are safe. And that's the main thing that we are always aiming for. And that's our promise to the business owners as well. So that's the first element. We are investing in people and teams because that's what's going to deliver this whole dream for everyone else involved in the business. Going to the synergies element, because as soon as you talk synergy within different businesses, the first question is, you group functions together and then you have these people working for separate businesses and the people within the businesses lose their jobs. Whereas we are looking for more holistic synergies with overarching synergies where it's more towards culture of the business, the synergy towards having talent acquisition strategies within the businesses which align with each other. The culture is aligned. Each business has its own little culture and we're very, very proud of it. We want to nurture it, but also the hope is that it aligns with our strands as well in a way. There is the trust, the sustainability element, solution orientated, so that those kind of things align as well. Business development, which is quite key in the sense that we want our in the way that not selling client lists and stuff, but also for the executive team to have a safe space to come together on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis. I mean, COVID has not helped, to be honest. So, but to come together and have a forum where they can talk to each other. What are the best practices? What have they learned? What have they not learned? From Assetree's perspective, the support is also helping them with a standard financial package as to how to look at the compliance, compatibility, and finance reporting, and the best practices from finance, HR perspective. So that's the synergies we're looking at, rather than digging deep into individual businesses and changing things, which it can give you a short-term wow feel, but it doesn't last long because at the end, the people have to drive it.
Absolutely. Interesting. So statistically, acquisitions are a bad way of creating value across all sectors, according to academic sources, let's put it that way. And certainly we hear a lot of stories where in hindsight, there were acquisitions that were ego-driven rather than on sound business principles. So what is the approach within Assetree to conducting sufficient due diligence in advance, but also then ensuring that the post-acquisition commercial viability is sound?
Yeah, and it has been tested, the post-acquisition for us in the last 2 years. Up to the T, right? Because the businesses have, all the businesses within UK, we have all had to readjust, reinvent, refocus. Everything has changed, but we are proud that we have come out of this with all our businesses there and delivering the projects. No one shut their doors. Everyone was working. So that is, I guess that's a starting point for me to take on the point. Acquisitions, as I said, change management is very challenging. I mean, to give you a very bad example, but I'll give it anyways, would be, I have such a routine about my breakfast now that if I have a bit of a change because I don't have, I don't know, enough dates for my breakfast, that is a big change for me already. And if we put that on a higher level where a business has been bought, there are new owners, again, it's not the money element of it, it's the people element of it, which makes the acquisition challenging. And how do you go about it? How, as the new owners, you instill this confidence and trust and honest, transparent discussion with the team members that things will be the same. Certain things might be tweaked because that's the reality of it, in a way that we want it to be better. We want we want it to be efficient, and we want, as I promised as well, the hope is that we take it into the 21st century, the businesses. So certain things have to be tweaked. So yeah, that makes it the challenge, if that makes sense, rather than.
It certainly makes sense, Gary, but I'm going to be more provocative on behalf of our listeners, because that almost sounds too good to be true.
Oh no, it's
So let's
challenging.
dig a little bit deeper. That at the end of the day, this is you've got to tick all of the cultural boxes. We've got to invest in people. Everyone buys into that, but there is also a bottom line, and as you said, particularly the last 12 months has brought that into stark focus. The importance of cash and the like. How do you really ensure that the business is financially sustainable, so that you can also satisfy all of the other criteria of a truly sustainable business?
Yeah, I mean, the DD element of it you mentioned, which was how do you do your DD, which is a due diligence before the acquisition. So in the past, we have not in the past, as in we are not doing it anymore. This is a continuous process, but I think we have honed it even more, where we have added a couple of more layers on it. So right from the beginning, we have an understanding of what the business needs when they do contact us and say, I'm interested in speaking to you. So that first step, which we are developing right now, and hopefully by the time the listeners have listen to this, we will have it on our website, where anyone can go on the website, do the survey of about 30 questions, and at the end of the survey should get a report at which they can discuss with us for a 30-minute call as to what are good things, what are the work on things. So it gives us a feeling for the business already. It gives us an idea for the valuation of the business, and also what the DD should take in account for. And then the due diligence would be very financially driven. Are the contracts in place, insurances, warranties, and also the cash flow, which is what you're. So once we have the acquisition, what is the business cash flow looking like for the next 3 months? At least, because that's what you will allow 90 days to look like. And what effect is it going to have? And then working already, even pre-acquisition, with the MDs, with the owners, to what that cash flow is going to look like, what is the acceptable level, what are the working capitals, and as the owners, the new owners in the future, it then becomes our responsibility making sure that that working capital is sustained through the business at any given point. And then we work along with the MDs / the business owners, because sometimes they wear both hats, and we work alongside them to take that further.
Okay, no, thank you. So let's go back a step. As you mentioned, like myself, you were in corporate life for, certainly in my instance, the majority of my career, and you've now gone into running your own business. Do you think that the corporate life has aided you running your business more effectively, or do you wish you'd started running your own business much sooner?
Sometimes I feel the first one, sometimes I feel the second one. It has definitely corporate life has given me a very wide view of the world. It gave me a lot of opportunities to be international, work with massive teams, work with different cultures, different regulations, and have an open view of ideas, and be accepting and open to change, because it's so dynamic. And that has helped me in businesses, because the small businesses are very dynamic and agile as well. And that aids that kind of structure. Where I feel like I wish I had started earlier would be sometimes when the projects the teams are delivering, they're so interesting. The R&D which happens at this level is incredible. And to feel like you can be on the ground, because I'm an engineer at the end, I like to repair things, tinker things. And so for me, that element, being closer to the team, not just sitting all the time or being on site, those are the times when I feel I wish I had started on this journey sooner. best of both worlds. So I've had that, and now I have this. So I'm kind of in a happy place right now.
Good. And who knows, Assetree may be a big major corporate of the future anyway. So
yeah, with the heart.
Well said. And maybe on that point, I know in discussions I've had with you in the past, Gauri, you're very passionate about not only the industry but the people in the industry, and most particularly about gender equality. I know you're a WISE member. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about what has driven that passion and whether you see a better future in that regard?
I hope so. I hope so, and I certainly hope that we can have that much awareness to speak about it openly and challenge ourselves and be open to challenging ourselves to change the way we do things. WISE was introduced to me quite recently. I was one of the only women in engineering, two women actually, and when I was doing my engineering course, I have been told when I went for my workshops, are you sure you want to do this? You know, do you want to go under the machine? Do you want to just like read the booklet? And I was like, no, that's why I joined engineering. I have been on project sites where I've had to prove that I know what I'm talking about and I can actually build that machine from scratch. So let's just get on with it and let's have adult conversation here. So I have been in room full where I'm the only woman on site or only woman in the boardroom, and slowly learned my way to speak up, and it hasn't been always rosy, and I feel there have been times when I've come home crying that I wish things were different. I wish someone would hear what ideas I have got to say, or being called love on, sites because you're a young professional woman on site. So yeah, learn from those experiences. And for me, I was lucky enough, and I've been given a lot of training from my parents since the beginning. I'm the only child. So you get what you aim for, kind of thing. So that helped me to develop my confidence enough to find my voice. Not everyone has that opportunity or get beaten down quite a lot. And I just hope that by changing the way we do things, everyone has an opportunity to have a voice. And that is gender equality, or just equality, diversity, and inclusion for everyone to be felt like, the main thing about teams in businesses or anything is feeling you belong here.
Yeah.
You are looked after, you're nurtured, and your voice is heard. If those things is the Maslow's, laws. And I know a lot of importance is placed on, I get emotional when I talk about it because all those memories come back to me. And yeah, I've been in meetings where I'll be like, oh, you just had a baby. Are you sure you can do a job properly? And those are the times when I'm like, yeah, but that hasn't changed anything. So yeah, a shift. And at the end, we are heading towards a world where 50% of your population is not even representing, kind of thing. In engineering, there are only 10% of the workforce which are women. And so there are things happening which doesn't take that aspect. So a company or any organization should always have voices from different parts of the community which take account of what they're delivering, and because that's your client, isn't it? Absolutely. So to have that voice within the organization is so important. So yeah, I'm hoping we make a shift. We in Assetree have this saying, beyond the bottom line, because you mentioned the bottom line earlier as well, that at the end, yes, there is that, but also thinking beyond that bottom line and what we are giving back, and how we can use business for good and for making an impact.
Good. Well, certainly wish you and everyone else success in that hope. But rather than relying just on hope, what are the things that listeners should be addressing over the next 12 months on that path towards achieving true equality?
I guess what we are doing, I can share the things we are doing within our businesses, talking about things more openly. There could be certain comments which are made in meetings, which are just offhand comments and which have generationally been okay,
Yes.
and just calling out that it's not okay because it's not the right thing to say. And it doesn't mean that you have to tread on eggshells, but just the awareness of the effect it could have on people. What we are doing within our companies is we are FHP and CJDP, for example, we are going to pledge as to how much percentage, what percentage of the workforce we are going to aim to being the women workforce. And I don't want to put numbers out there without the buy-in from the team.
Sure.
That's what we're aiming for. And we're working with WISE to publish our reports on what steps we are taking within the business. We are doing interview training to remove any unconscious bias from the management teams going forward, just helping to understand that what should we focus on and what should we not focus on, and how do you remove that from the way we conduct ourselves. So those are the small things. I talk about it. I talk in schools, because the one thing I always hear is recruitment. Oh, there are no women coming for the interviews for the jobs advertised. So let's take it the step further. Why? Let's dig deeper. Well, there are not a lot of engineering women taking up engineering. Okay, then let's target the schools. Let's show them what a woman engineer looks like and how amazing it is. Yes. Or construction can be so cool. You can deliver all these projects. Yes. So just taking it the next level. The other quick tip would be asking your recruitment company for a diverse pool of people. So you specifically as a recruiter telling the recruitment agents that I want a diverse group of CVs to be put forward to me. Yeah. So that should help as well.
It's incredible that you need to think to ask that, isn't it, in many ways, but nonetheless, yeah, wise advice. Well, look, I think maybe that's a good point to bring the conversation to an end. We started about the acquisition of businesses, but I think we've finished also is, at the end of the day, businesses are all about people. And so it's about the acquisition of talent, isn't it? And talent has many different genders, creeds, colours and races. So as I say, maybe that's a good point to finish on. There's plenty more we could have discussed, and maybe we will do in a future episode. But that was very insightful. Thank you very much, Gauri Lamb. If our listeners do want to get in touch with you and find out more about your business and WISE, is there any way they can contact you?
Yes, my details are on the Assetree website, which is very plain and simple, assetree.com. I'm on LinkedIn. All my contact details are there. And WISE is, again, if you need any help and support there, I can introduce you to the people. Just get in touch.
That's great. And we'll make sure there's a link on this podcast to that as well, if you're comfortable with that. Okay, well, look, that's great. And to all our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Construction Big Breakfast. We have a new episode every 2 weeks, so click that subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you don't miss an episode. While you're at it, if you have liked what you've heard, I'm sure Gauri and I would welcome a 5-star review. And if you've enjoyed this episode, particularly today, please like and share it, as this helps us get much more listeners and gets the message that Gauri's been referring to out to everyone. And if you're interested in being a guest on this podcast or look to collaborate in any other way, please do visit us at www.invennt.com. The link's in the description, and please fill out the contact form so one of our team can get in touch. So once again, Gauri, thank you so much. And thank you to you, all your listeners, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Want to learn more about how Invennt can help your business maximize its bottom line? Head on over to www.invennt.com and get in touch with our team today. Thanks for joining us this week on the Construction Big Breakfast. Make sure to visit our website, www.inventt.com, where you can subscribe to the Construction Big Breakfast on all platforms so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a positive rating. Or if you'd simply share it with a friend, that would help us out too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode.